Hey guys, we are live. Welcome to OnBoored and welcome to our top five movies and TV shows. I know it says comic books, but it's kind of amalgamation of comic book movies and other things. So, of course, we have our usual host here. We have Charles. How's it going, man?
Doing pretty good. Can't wait to get into it.
All right. And of course, Mr. Lou Rod, aka Rod. What's up?
I'm hanging in there. Been a rough week.
Okay. Well, hopefully everyone enjoyed their Christmas, got at least some gifts that they wanted. And I'm sure we all can't wait for 2017, right?
Yeah.
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay. Before we kick things off, we had a passing this week of Carrie Fisher, best known as Princess Leia, someone who's been in geek mythology since the inception of Star Wars. She passed away 2 days ago, and I just wanted to just kind of lay out a quick opportunity where we can give our thoughts on her as an individual and just share that. I'll kick it off because I know I didn't mention this in the show notes or beforehand, so I might as well start off anyway. I mean, for me, I've said this before. I said my least favorite character was Luke Skywalker. So I remember seeing her in Star Wars when I was maybe 7, I think is when I watched Star Wars with and I watched Empire Strikes Back first. And I watched I lived in Nigeria, so it was out of order. I think everything was out of order. But I watched that first, and I remember when she kissed Luke, and I was just very pissed because I was like, she better not end up with that dude. That dude sucks completely.
And then we find out that they're brother and sister, and now we're even more creeped out.
Yeah,
it's like ooh.
Yeah, but I mean, what I really admire her most is like later on in life when she started talking more about mental illness, and I watched one of her like kind of like stand-up specials. I can't remember exactly what it was, but she did like a stand-up with her book, talking about mental illness, talking about herself, life, and there was more to her than I thought. And it was really nice to see that because after Star Wars, the only person who really got famous from the movies was Harrison Ford. So it was good to see her, tackle something and also bring awareness to something that a lot of us take for granted. It's sad to see that she's gone, but we just hope she's in a better place. Anyone else?
Lou?
You could have went first, but I really don't have nothing. I never really followed her outside of Star Wars. I didn't know anything else she did. I didn't even realize she rewrote half of her scenes in Empire Strikes Back because she said George Lucas wrote something really stupid.
I'm not surprised.
So she changed a lot of her dialogue in that movie. So I mean, hey, she was talented for other things besides drinking.
She was a
acting.
fantastic.
She was well known for doing what she did. She loved to party, and you could tell.
Yeah. Charles?
Yeah. I'll say I always admired Carrie Fisher. I liked her. I always admired her honesty. Like she wasn't the type of person to sugarcoat anything. It's like she would say what she means and she would mean what she says. And I always loved that about her. She was there was a quote she said, I'm probably paraphrasing, but I love this quote. It's like, if you're afraid, do it anyway. And it just, I always liked that quote. And I don't know, just, I consider her one of my heroes. I do, especially her stance on mental health because, well, I have mental problems. So I think of her as sort of, well, like I said, a hero. And it is just absolutely shocking that she's gone. And she died at a young age, too. She was only like 60. She probably had another good 20 years left in her.
Yeah, but you got to look at it. Her 60, she partied hard, dude. She loved to drink, so that put a toll on her body.
Well, she used to be an alcoholic, but she was a recovering alcoholic.
Recovering or not, that depending on how much she drank in her younger days, that's a significant toll on your body and heart. So
yeah, but
that
still,
60 was probably a she's a young 60, but in reality, her body was probably feeling like it was over 80.
Nah, I'll probably say 70. But yeah, Charles, just to wrap up.
I don't know. Like I said, I always admired Carrie Fisher, and it is absolutely tragic that she's gone. And she, like I said in a post the other day when I found out about the news, she is now one with the Force.
Yes. And it was sad too also that her mother passed away, Debbie Reynolds, who, I mean, a lot of younger viewers will not know her from Singing in the Rain, but she's really talented. And you know, I
something to the Debbie Reynolds thing. I honestly feel like if she was on a pill, being for her age, she just shouldn't take her medication because she just wanted to be with her daughter.
I mean, it could have been that, or just, you know, me to a large degree, you know, people can die. To me, I believe people can die of a broken heart. You know.
Oh yeah.
So
that is so true. I mean, penguins, elephants, if they lose a significant other, they won't last much longer because they die of a broken heart.
Yeah.
It's out there.
So, and again, they were really close. So, you know, thoughts and prayers to the family, to her daughter, her brother, and, you know, hopefully, you know, they go through this very trying time. All right, let's get things in gear. So we said top 5. I said comic books, but it's really, you know, movies and TV shows. But TV shows, we can keep it in comic books and keep it that way.
Not necessarily, because
I mean, you can throw in whatever you want. I'm just gonna make mine all.
Me and Whedon, we really enjoy Vikings. Vikings, honestly, is the next best thing, in my opinion, to Game of Thrones for being on history.
Okay.
Yes.
Before you spoil the list, let us start off with movies. Let us start off with our number 5. So we're gonna go over like ascending order from 5 all the way to 1. And I am going to start off with Lou. What is your number 5 movie? Are you talking, Lou? Because you look like you were saying something.
No.
Okay. Maybe it was just delayed. So what's your number 5 movie?
Good question.
Wow.
See, I can't go with just comic book because.
Oh no! I said you can mix
all
it
the
up.
comic book movies that came out this year, not all of them were that strong. And
yeah,
if
you can mix it up. You can mix it up. It's okay.
I would probably go with the Accountant movie, Accountant or the Magnificent Seven.
Okay. So
and Deepwater Horizon.
No, I
really enjoyed all 3 of those.
Give me one. So all 3 are your number 5?
Yeah, those 3 could be the number 5.
Wow.
That's not how that works, Lou.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. So Lou has 3 number 5 movies. He said Magnificent Seven, Deepwater Horizon, and what else? The Accountant. Right? Hello?
Lou.
I guess Lou's gone. Lou's gone.
Yeah, he's probably having problems. All right, well then I guess I'll go on to my list.
Yes, yeah, your number 5. What's your number 5? And you tell me why.
My number 5 would have to be Doctor Strange.
Okay.
It would have to be Doctor Strange. When I went into the movie Doctor Strange, I don't know what it was. Maybe the movie just wasn't that good. Maybe my expectations were too high and I expected too much. I don't know. I wanted Doctor Strange to be the next big major thing for Marvel Studios, and it wasn't. It was average. There were a lot of moments in Doctor Strange that I liked. I thought, visually speaking, it was great. I thought the Dark Dimension was visually stunning. But in regards to the story, it's about what you'd expect from a typical origin story, and I thought that was disappointing. I thought it was, like I said, average.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Doctor Strange, I won't put it at 5 for me. For me, my number 5 movie of the year would have to be. I'm shuffling things around now in my head. I should have just gone with what I had in mind, but I would give it to Star Trek Beyond. The reason I picked that as my number 5, it was fun. It brought a balance of the team, not just Kirk and Spock. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it kind of reminded me of so you know, a lot of people were like, you know, maybe not. It didn't feel like a Star Trek movie. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't feel like a Picard Star Trek movie. It reminded me of a Captain Kirk Star Trek movie or TV show where you had all those different parts in there. So for me, I definitely like it. And I like the fact that I was wrong with the, when they included the Beastie Boys soundtrack in the trailer, I was like, this will suck. And it actually worked well in the movie for me. So I definitely like that. So that's my number 5. Quickly, Lou, since you're back, your 3 picks for number 5. Why did you pick those 3? Quickly, because you have 3, and that's way too much.
Well, because all 3 of them I didn't even go to the theater to watch. I watched them on digital release, and I found them to be really entertaining.
Okay. All right.
So that's why I was like, you know what? They deserve honorable mentions and stuff like that because, I'm very picky about wasting my money in a theater.
All right. So
I didn't feel none of them were like theater worthy, but in reality, they kind of were because I was entertained with all 3 of them when I watched them.
Okay. So what's your number 4 since you're back now? Before we leave,
I will go with Star Trek.
So Star Trek. Any reason why?
It felt more like an episode of Star Trek.
Okay.
And out of the 3 Star Trek movies we've gotten, I felt it was like the second best. I found it better than Enter Darkness. I won't say it was better than the first one because the first one rebooted the whole franchise, and I like what they did. But it was just an entertaining movie from start to finish. The soundtrack was all right. I don't really care for the Beastie Boys and all that, but when they finally played it in the movie, it made sense for what they were doing.
Okay, cool. How about you, Charles? Number 4.
My number 4 pick would have to be Rogue One: A Star Wars Story.
It finally grew on him.
Yes, I've seen it 3 times. And allow me to elaborate onto why I watched it 3 times. Because I know when we did our initial review, I said that I would never watch the movie again. And guess what? I watched it 3 freaking times. So the second time I watched it, I went with my grandpa because I didn't want my grandpa going to the movies alone. And he wanted to see Rogue One. So I was like, what the hell? I might as well watch it with him. I can always fall asleep if I get bored. And so then the third time I watched it, I went to see it with my cousin, who I didn't want to go to the theater alone. So I went to see it with him a third time. And the third time I watched it, I did fall asleep. And to be honest, I will admit, after watching it 3 times, I developed an appreciation for the movie. I now don't hate the movie as much as I did. Well, I never really hated the movie, but I don't dislike it as much as I did. I have an appreciation for the characters, and I now remember some of the characters' names. I remember Cassian, Jen, Kay, Bodhi. I remember all of them. So I'm like, all right, fine. It's going to take my number 4 slot.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I would tell you now, Rogue One does not make my list.
That's you.
Yeah, that's just me. Just if anyone's wondering, Rogue One is.
We already know what your number 1 movie is.
No, you actually do not know my number 1 movie. You'd be surprised.
Then it might be Deadpool.
My number. This is going to be interesting here because this is where I'm going to change things. Now, my number 4 movie would be Passengers.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, I enjoyed Passengers. I know a lot of people had either mixed reviews. Some people said it was okay. I saw an article where they were talking about the original script compared to what happened. And whatever happened in the original script, no, I'm sorry. That would have been rubbish as far as I'm concerned. I enjoyed Passengers because Passengers gave me a really cool premise that I like. This is a little bit spoilerish, but this happens a little bit early in the movie where Chris Pratt's character's pod is opened up out of a malfunction from hibernation for 190 years. He's only 90 years. He spent 120 years. He spent 30 years in hibernation at this point. Now he's trying to fix the pod. Then he tries to live his life. And then he spends a year without talking to anyone. And then he comes across her character. And now he's debating if he should wake her up.
But he does wake her up.
He does, and he doesn't tell her. And it's to me, I like that moral dilemma. I like the moral dilemma is like you're sentencing someone to life with you that they'd never agreed to in the first place, and you lying about it. So I love that moral dilemma there. Whether it was twisted a little bit in a love story, to me it was fine. But a lot of people didn't like it. I was like, this is great because this is really, to me, this is factual more than anything else. It's more, if we're in that situation, I can see somebody might last a year or two and go, screw it. There are at least 5,000 people. I can wake up one other person, that kind of thing. So
I'm waking them all up.
What see, Lou's like, no, everyone's waking up with me.
Yeah, shit. All right. One thing to be alone for a year. Yeah, you know what? Oops, they all wake up. We all gonna die around the same time.
So I definitely enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun movie to watch. There were some things I would have changed, but overall, Passengers I would watch again. It's a movie I can easily put up. Chris Pratt does a fantastic job. He has his castaway moments where he has at least about 45 minutes of the movie by himself, and he holds those 45 minutes well. So, I definitely enjoyed it. So that's, for me, that's my number 4 pick. Lou, number 3.
I like Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Doctor Strange was my number 5 slot.
Doctor Strange will take my number 3.
All right. Any reasons why?
I didn't know much about the character. Still don't, but I really enjoyed the hell out of the movie. Thought the movie was well put together.
Okay.
Granted, it had another weak villain, but what do you expect? That's a Marvel movie.
That is true. That is true. All right. How about you, Charles?
For my number 3 slot?
Yeah.
It would have to be Star Trek Beyond.
Okay.
I absolutely loved Star Trek Beyond. It would be higher on the list, but the other 2 movies that I have on my number 2 and number 1 slot, they deserve those slots more than Star Trek Beyond. So Star Trek Beyond is taking my number 3 slot. And you're right, it did feel like a Star Trek episode, and I love that. That's what a Star Trek movie should be, is just an extended episode. It was great. I loved it. I thought it was very refreshing from Star Trek Into Darkness, because despite Star Trek Into Darkness having a lot of good things about it, there was a lot of bad things about it too. There was a lot of things that felt out of place, and we did not get that again in Star Trek Beyond. So I really like that. And I would have to say my only gripe with Star Trek Beyond would have to be the villain. I thought the villain was a little weak. His motivations weren't very – they didn't really –
He's still better than all Marvel villains combined.
That is true. Yeah. that is very true. Marvel's only really had one good villain, and that's Loki.
It's pretty much it, yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Just I love Star Trek Beyond, and that is my number 3 slot. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So here I'm gonna have to jump and do the same thing that Lou did, because I started thinking. I was like, since I said comic book and movies, basically sci-fi movies, I'm gonna have to double. So my number 2 and my number 1, I'll have 2 picks included in there. And my number 2 is Civil War and BVS, although I call it 2A and 2B. Civil War I definitely enjoyed. It's a very fun movie, but each time I watch Civil War, I tend to pick it apart. I just started watching it again with a couple of friends this past holiday, and they were asking me questions because I'm the comic book guy, and I was like, all right. So for me, it's one of those movies where I will always enjoy, but I always find issues with, of course, there. And of course, Lou's gone again. And then BVS is my 2A movie. As you guys know, I enjoyed BVS quite a lot. I, of course, probably championed this movie to death than anything else. BVS has its issues. I definitely agree. And I think the main issue is just the fact that nobody thought they were going to get that type of movie. I don't think there are many issues per se with the movie. I think it's the fact that it's not a fun-loving movie. But to me, BVS also is the best movie that encapsulates 2016. In the tone of this year has been all over the place. And also, BVS has also brought, to me, BVS is the reason I love BVS is it really reflects the time we live in. You know, I had this discussion with BVS with a couple of people when I went to go see Doctor Strange, and they were like, "Hey, why do you like BVS? It sucked." I'm like, and I just asked the lady a simple question. I said, "If Superman showed up today, would you trust him?" She said, "No." I'm like, "There you go. That's just it. That's the world we live in. This is not the 70s." So for me, I enjoyed that. And I enjoyed the fact that there were a lot of parallels. I know Papi Grande is like, BVS sucked. Of course, you don't get it, Papi. It's okay. But I love the different parallels in the movie itself as it flows through. So for me, that was my 2A and 2B choices. And Lou's gone again, so
yes. So I will take over. It's now my show now. There's nothing you can do. Never mind. But I would have to say that my number 2 slot is the same. It's Batman v Superman. I do agree with most of what you said, saying that it's a reflection of the atmosphere of our world today. You're right. I mean, if Superman did show up, like come out of nowhere, just drop from the sky, would we trust him? No.
No.
If anything, our military would probably try to take him out, or at the very least would try to capture him and try to use him or force him to use him as sort of a military weapon, something like that. That's probably what happened. I loved Batman v Superman mostly because I went into it not really expecting what everybody was expecting. I mean, my expectations for the movie were pretty high, and I felt that my expectations were met. I wasn't really expecting it to be what everybody thought it was going to be. They were thinking, I don't know if this is accurate, but I believe everybody was thinking that it was
Marvel flavored.
Yeah, it was going to be a Marvel flavor. But the thing is that people said the same stuff about Man of Steel. They thought it was too dark. They thought it was too serious. And I'm like, dude, how can you expect DC to be the same as Marvel? Sure, what Marvel does with its whole upbeat feeling, it works for them. But for DC, they wanted to be a more adult-oriented, more serious and dark tone for their films. And I felt that it was perfect for Man of Steel. So when they applied the same atmosphere to Batman v Superman, I went into it expecting it, and I came out of the theater satisfied. I liked Batman v Superman, and I hope that most of the other DC films are going to have the same atmosphere because they need to stick to their guns. They shouldn't change the atmosphere of the other films just to appease the audience. Stick to your guns.
Quick one here to answer Papa Grande, and he says horrible storytelling. I disagree. I think Civil War has terrible storytelling in comparison. Because I'm putting that as my 2A and 2B movies there. Batman v Superman had very simple storytelling. The fact that Superman was still untrusted. There was that whole theme of him being untrusted. And Lex was playing that against the Batman who's already worried as it is because he wanted to take him out. It's that simple. Now, as it goes down the line, there's subplots in between, but I thought it was pretty straightforward. Sorry, go ahead.
The storytelling may not have been perfect in Batman v Superman, but it was drastically improved in the Ultimate Cut.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. The funny thing about the Ultimate Cut for me is that, as someone who likes BVS, it made no difference. But for other viewers who couldn't, I'm not trying to diss you, Papa Grande, or anyone who couldn't follow the storyline, who was slow. Yes, the Ultimate Cut makes it for you because BVS, the theatrical cut to me was like, look, this is going to happen no matter what, so we don't need to tell you all the details. But I get it. A lot of viewers like to be spoon-fed nowadays, so I understand that part. But I'm not trying to diss anyone. I'm just saying that's just what it is. At least it's the way I see it. As opposed to say Civil War, where Civil War had a very bad villain that had no justification for being in the movie at all. And also the whole idea of Civil War came very down to the end of that movie where you had Captain America and Iron Man fighting because of the death of his parents. Now, if you really think about it, if Falcon in prison never told Iron Man where they were going, that fight would never have happened and the movie would have ended. Done. Captain America and Bucky would have stopped Zemo and that'd be the end of it. That's it. So to me, it literally was a bad movie for that. You know, there were a lot of things that we took liberty, but it was a fun movie. And then the Civil War aspect at the airport was a fun fight. But at the end of the day, it was shallow because there were no stakes. No one died. It didn't feel like they were fighting for anything serious. So while I enjoyed it, I was like, it doesn't match up to the name of the movie. Like for me, it doesn't equate. Whereas
it was mostly a feud between just Captain America and Iron Man because of, well, what happened. But the other heroes, they just felt like they were being pulled in a game of tug of war.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's why I said to me, I liked the difference because in BVS, I felt like Batman wanted to kill Superman. So for me, that was more poignant than anything else. You know, and again, was more serious. So especially when every character came in, even Wonder Woman jumps in, you're like, she's out to stop Doomsday. You know, she was like, I need to join in to stop this or else everything's going crazy. So for me, that's where that lands. Okay. All right, cool. My number one. Okay, this is where I made the mistake. I should have added Doctor Strange onto the list. So I'm going to make an amendment. I said amendum. Doctor Strange goes to my number 3 slot as tied with my number 3 also. So I apologize for not doing it. My brain, when I added other like sci-fi movies to my brain, just shifted all the way around. But I did like Doctor Strange. I thought it was probably the best, one of the best Marvel movies this year. I do agree with you on how, as an origin story, it was basic, but I did like the fact that they were able to introduce magic and handle that well, according to the way the Marvel universe fits. Because even though it's magic, they try to make it seem like it's not really magic at the same time. So they did a good job in the movie. Now, my number one is tied 2 movies. One is my one. I'll call them tied. 1A and 1A. Deadpool and Arrival. So Deadpool came out early in the year, and I've watched that movie several times. I watched it a couple of times in the theaters, I think maybe 2 or 3 times. And I saw the movie also again, Blu-ray, digital download. I've watched it a bunch of times altogether. And I think, you know, for me, it was such an entertaining movie because it was a comedy first, you know. If you really think about it, it was a comedy. The lines hit. It was funny. The one thing about Deadpool I'm a little afraid of is I don't know how I feel after watching it again sometime next year, like the middle of the day. Will he still be that funny for me? I don't know. But so far this year, it's lasted all the way through. So it was exciting. And I think Ryan Reynolds played the role he was born to play. Almost everything hit in this movie. I really can't say anything was bad. Maybe just the fact they didn't have a bigger budget, because then they could have done more. But that's pretty much it in my mind. And then my other movie, Arrival. Arrival was a great sci-fi movie, and you know, with alien interaction and you know, and how communication plays a huge role, and also military response. Again, and the funny thing about Arrival is I was watching with a friend, and as soon as the movie was done, I told her. She's like, "Oh, that was great." I was like, "Yeah, this kind of reminded me of Man of Steel." I mean, people don't trust aliens when they show up. That's just the world we live in. And that's my mindset. I guess, then again, that's my comic book mindset, putting things together. But I think Arrival was spot on, one of the best sci-fi movies this year, because it had to do with a lot of communication, trying to deal with problems, and also the fact that you weren't even sure what these aliens were capable of. I mean, they show up in a spaceship that does not emit any form of energy or force. So there's no force coming out like thrusters or energy readings whatsoever at all. And you're like, what do these people want? So I think to me, that probably be my 1A movie of the year. It's definitely Arrival. Now, Lou, since you're back, we already covered our number 2 movies. I said it was BVS and Civil War. And Charles said his was BVS. So asking you, what is your number 2 movie? And then you do your number 1.
Make my list.
What is that?
BVS don't even make my.
Nobody cares about your list when you keep cutting off, man.
I'm gonna put Deadpool at number 2.
Okay, Deadpool at number 2.
I like Deadpool. I would go Deadpool and Civil War a close behind it. And then what else do we have? BVS and then Suicide Squad. They would be towards the bottom of the list. And then the only reason why BVS gets a little bit higher is because of the DVD release of the Ultimate Cut. If they would have came out with the Ultimate Cut from Jump, then that movie probably would have been number 2, close to being number 1. Because with the Ultimate Cuts, the finding moments of that movie, it made it so much better. And I don't even blame Snyder. I blame the WB execs who are just idiots.
All right.
That don't know better.
What's your number 1?
My number 1, you know damn well, is going to be Rogue One.
God.
It's like The Force Awakens was last year. Rogue One takes it this year.
Okay.
Because I am a diehard Star Wars fan, and I just love the fact that Vader kicked ass.
That was the only good thing in that movie.
That's for you. See, I get the whole point. I get this movie was the opening crawl of A New Hope. I get it. I felt it. I don't need to feel connected with the characters like some people do. They did what they had to do. It gave me a great story. I got great ships ramming other ships coming out of hyperspace and blowing up another ship because they crashed into it. Dude, you can't ask for nothing better than that.
Okay. Charles.
My number 1 pick is exactly what you'd expect to be. It's Deadpool. Deadpool is my number 1 pick. I love Deadpool for all the reasons that you can come up with, because that movie, in my opinion, was perfect. That movie was perfect. Look, anyone who knows me, I know Lou knows this, where I don't like most comedies that come out. I don't. They're all the same movie. They have the same plot line, just with a different theme, but the same core plot lines. And I think most comedies today are embarrassing and boring. I just don't care for them. But Deadpool.
But you're not supposed to look at Deadpool as a comedy.
It is a comedy first, really.
But Deadpool.
Yeah, but it's more of a love story than anything else.
No,
it's
it's
a
love story with him and what was her name again?
Vanessa.
Vanessa. His love story was Vanessa. Everything else besides Vanessa was secondary.
Yeah, but
his whole purpose of that movie was to get back to Vanessa.
Okay, Lou, can we have Charles finish? I know you were cut off there for a while, but can we have Charles finish?
Yeah, but Deadpool is just perfect. I mean, yes, there are some romance aspects of the movie, but to me, I have to agree with E. It is a comedy first, and I loved it. It was like the first comedy in years that I laughed at. Most other comedies that come out, I have a straight blank face at every comedy that comes out nowadays. And with Deadpool, I was laughing during most of the movie. So I came out of the theater still laughing. I was laughing in the car on the way home. I was reminiscing about all the funny parts of the entire movie as I pulled into the garage. I was so pleased with this movie. This is exactly why this movie, Deadpool, deserves my number 1 slot, and that is done.
I'm glad you dropped the Gatorade.
What was your worst movie of the year?
Before we get to worst movies, quickly, just to answer some questions here. Let's see. Papi Grande says, if Superman had killed Batman in the movie would have ended. Yes, but Superman wasn't going to do that.
Superman's moral compass wouldn't let him.
Yeah, it's all subjective. Yeah, I mean, that's why we all have very different movies on our list here. It's really subjective.
The only list that matters is mine.
Whatever. Funkentel Etchy says, does anybody know whether the ridiculous Martha scene was taken from the comic books? Martha's scene was not taken from the comic books. It was written into this movie. But I don't consider it ridiculous because everyone who watched that scene who doesn't understand it doesn't have, let me not diss people, which would be including you. So most people just don't understand the scene. It has nothing to do with the fact that her name is Martha. It is the fact that Batman thought he was talking about his own mother. And throughout the movie, they told us in this movie that Batman still has. I mean, we all know he has issues about the death of his parents. That's one grown man with so much money that has like mommy and daddy issues without any.
But you
any
can't
level.
blame him for having mommy and daddy issues when mommy and daddy were killed right before his eyes.
No, I'm not disagreeing. So I'm saying that's why, when Superman said Martha, he was like, why did you mention her name? Not the fact that we mothers have the same name. And the only reason he didn't kill him or even continues because Lois Lane runs in and says that is his mother. And that's the realization he had, that this being has a mother. Because Batman never thought of him as that. He thought of him as this alien. I have to get rid of this alien. So to me, I love that conceptual point. It was not a matter of, which is why I said for me, when I look at BVS and my, 2A and 2B, Civil War, I didn't have any connection to Civil War for anything to stop. It was more or less like, okay, yeah, all right, we've gone through the motions. Papi Grande says, thank you, Lou. Someone feels my pain. Most likely talking about Rogue One. And then Ricky Body says, meh. So most likely talking about Rogue One. Joshua says Rogue One was hella good. I feel you, Lou. Rick Bad Boy says comedies have been watered down. That's very true, Charles. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Batman doesn't know who Superman's mom is, but Led could find her. Oh, I mean Lex? Yeah, because Lex was doing his own work. Batman didn't. If you watch that movie properly, Batman didn't think of Superman that way. All he wanted to do was stop this alien. Batman was becoming sloppy. I mean, that's just the understood in this movie. He was sloppy in a sense. And as a comparison to Lex, who Lex said he spent 2 years and almost $1 billion just to convince Batman that Superman was evil. That's a lot of money and research. And meanwhile, Batman did the opposite, and we lost Lou again. So Lou says, I guess Lex is a better detective than Batman. Lex is the smartest person in the DC universe. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just saying. That's just what it is in the comic book. So he can outsmart Batman. Batman is not the be-all that everybody thinks he is. Just saying.
Here comes the crazy people with the torches and pitchforks.
Batman is the greatest detective of all time. Yeah, he is. But also, he's not the smartest person either. All right, so our worst movies of the year. Just mention your worst. We don't have to go through like the whole list. Since you brought it up, Lou, how about you start with that? Papi says, give us a break. Lou, worst movies.
I'm gonna have to go Independence Day Resurgence.
Oh yeah.
Even though I enjoyed the movie for being dumb and fun, but it really is a shitty movie.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Independence Day Resurgence was really bad. Let's see. I don't have any. What?
And the other one for this year, The Killing Joke.
All right. Look, I know a lot of people didn't like The Killing Joke, but for what it was, I enjoyed it.
It sucked.
Your expectations were too high.
No, my expectations weren't too high because it's an animated movie. It just sucked. You could take out that whole Barbara part of the movie, the first 30 minutes, and it still sucked.
The Killing Joke to me should never have been made because if you read the graphic novel, that's almost the same thing, and it's not something. It's more. The Killing Joke is more of. Sorry to say this, Lou. Again, another higher thinking comic. So I get it. For you need something more baseline. But I agree with you. It should not have been an animated movie. It's just to me doesn't translate well. So what was yours, Charles?
Well, like Lou said, Independence Day Resurgence, but like I was about to say, I don't really have any worst movies because I'm usually able to sniff out the bad movies and I tend to avoid them. Like
Assassin's Creed is another one.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to watch Assassin's Creed, and then my grandpa said, "No, let's go watch Rogue One," and I went to see Rogue One for the second time. So I never actually ended up watching Assassin's Creed. So even though everybody is saying that it is horrible, I can't speak for that. But with everybody saying that it's bad, it's giving me reason to avoid the movie. So I'm probably not going to watch it until it's rentable.
Yeah.
You know what else really sucked this year?
What?
What?
I watched the first 45 minutes and I was like, yeah, this movie's horrible. Ben-Hur.
Ooh, I don't even have to see that to label that as a bad movie.
That
Oh.
is. I haven't watched Ben-Hur yet, but I remember the original with Charles. So basically, the two Charles Heston movies, Ben-Hur and the Ten Commandments, have both been remade, and both of them have been terrible so far. I mean, I watched Ten Commandments with Christian Bale, and I was so disappointed in that movie. Everybody was complaining about the whitewashing, and there was some whitewashing in that movie. But when you watch the movie, you're like, man, the old movie was whitewashed all the way through, but the acting was so good that that you didn't care. This one was kind of like everyone took a paycheck. For me, the worst movie, I would agree with Rich A and Ricky Bad Boy. Ghostbusters was an atrocious piece of crap. Absolutely.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that movie. So yes, that goes to my worst movies of 2016 is Ghostbusters. I mean,
And you paid to see it.
No, I didn't. I did not pay. I'm not going to finish that. I did not pay for it. My people I went with, they paid for the tickets. I told them, I'm not seeing this movie. I'm not paying for it. So if you want me to go with you, you got to buy my ticket. I'll buy the food. You buy the tickets. And that's what happened.
Oh, man. But you know what? I have to put these as honorable mentions of the year. The Legend of Tarzan, I found it to be very enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't finish that movie.
The Infiltrator with Bryan Cranston and John Leguizamo was an awesome movie for being based on a true story. Don't Breathe. I don't watch. My mom's boyfriend, he said he loved the movie. Hell or High Water. If you haven't watched it, give it a shot. Very underrated movie of the year. It was good. And I'm going to also put Scully on the list. I didn't think Scully was going to be that. Sully, whatever.
Sully.
That movie.
This isn't X-Files, dude.
Was actually better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, Sully was good. I watched Sully on Blu-ray, and that was a good movie to watch.
Suicide Squad was all right, but it doesn't deserve to be on the list.
No, it doesn't.
It was fun. It was fun to watch in theaters. When I watched the director's cut again,
like we said in the review, some of the scenes were okay, but the only scenes that really changed were all for Harley and Joker, and it was more of a Harley Quinn story than anything.
Yeah, it did really focus on her and Deadshot. It focused on the two of them.
And an honorable mention goes to War Dogs. War Dogs was an excellent movie.
I haven't seen War Dogs.
That's
yet.
with Miles Teller and Jonah Hill, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
That movie was awesome. That was another one that I didn't expect much out of it, and after I watched it, I was like, wow, this was actually better than I thought. It was a very enjoyable movie.
Let's move over to TV shows. We can still answer questions, when you guys throw it up there. I know Papi Grande is on his, BVS hate. I'm just joking, man. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump to TV shows. Number 5 TV show. What is your number 5? It could be comic book, it could be sci-fi, it could be anything you mentioned. So,
well,
start with you, Lou.
My number 5 will be the whole CW era, the whole CW shows. This year, they have done a good job to where I'm enjoying them on every night of the week, and then going forward, we're getting Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So it makes doing those shows a lot better for us because now we're not skipping one.
Yeah. Okay. See the whole CW DC slate. How about you, Charles?
I would have to say the number 5 slot would have to be the current season of Supernatural.
I have not seen it yet. Don't spoil anything.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will say that this current season has been okay. It feels like they're trying to figure out what they want to do with the plot. But they haven't figured it out yet.
The ended last season with God and his sister. I was like,
they disappeared. They went away.
They went away. Yeah.
And at the end of last season, Sam got shot by a woman who was with the British Men of Letters.
Yes, yeah, I remember that. So, okay,
Yeah.
cool. I need to get back into Supernatural. Thank you
But yeah,
for.
there's been a lot of interesting episodes. There was an episode that came out recently. I think it might have been the mid-season finale that was downright hilarious. I thought it was a great comedy episode, and it was just great. But overall, the season has been okay.
Okay, all right,
So yeah.
all right, cool. My number 5, I will agree with Lou too, because there are a lot of shows to put in here. So my number 5 would be the whole CW slate. If I were to pair them up, I would say Arrow has bounced back for me from its tragic season 4. Legends of Tomorrow is the fun one in the group, so I really don't have to care too much, but they do provide fun episodes. Flash has been good in the sense where now the idea of Flashpoint is fully making sense. It kind of been slow, but with all the different effects that Flashpoint has brought in there. And then Supergirl has gotten much better than its first season. Especially, remember how I used to cringe about the first 10 episodes of Supergirl were painful as far as I was concerned for season 1. This season has been well balanced, I think so. So definitely the whole CW.
The only thing I'm going to gripe about what CW just pulled, they released their Arrow.
We lost them.
You lost them again. So Arrow, some issue with Arrow. Okay, so your number 4 show, what would we be, Charles?
My number 4 show would have to be. It's a show that's not on currently. There was a season earlier, but this in the year, but it ended. It would have to be season 2 of Dark Matter. I really am trying to get into that show, and I can't do it. I mean, Dark Matter is decent, but it's a decent science fiction show. But I really, really am having a hard time getting into it.
Have you watched season 1?
I've watched parts of it.
You remember Dark Matter is like Twilight Zone. None of the episodes connect. You can watch any episode you want.
No. Dark. You know what Dark?
Black Mirror. So I was talking about Black Mirror. My bad.
Yes, I'm talking about Dark Matter. The people stuck on the Raza, the ship in space, and they're like traveling through the universe and all that. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I have not watched Black Mirror, nor am I going to.
Oh, you should watch Black Mirror. You will love it. You will absolutely love Black Mirror because it's all about using sci-fi and social commentary. And they played, excuse me, to the umpth degree. They really do. It's a great like science fiction show. Black Mirror it's not on my list, but it's one of my top memorable mentions in there. My number, man. So Lou, you're number 4 before I get to my number 4, since you're here.
Before I was really cut off by Chrome or whatever the hell is going on with my internet, Arrow screwed up this week with their promo. We find out who Laurel is.
Don't tell anybody, okay? Just stop now. Lou, you're number 4. What's your number 4?
Netflix.
What on Netflix?
All the original programming Netflix dropped this year. With the Marvel stuff, the Stranger Things, to Marco Polo, to House of Cards, all of that. Because I watched all of them.
Wow, that's a whole bundle for Netflix, man.
That's way too much, man. Pick one.
I'm not going to pick one. Just like I picked the whole CW, I'm going to pick all of Netflix's stuff because I have to give credit to E because I wasn't going to watch Stranger Things.
See,
but he convinced me to, and I enjoyed it. I still haven't watched that Get Down or whatever that shit's called, but
the Get Down's on point. But that's if you like hip hop, like old school hip hop.
I don't, so that's why I ain't watching it.
Sorry,
but I enjoyed. Like it sucks that you and I both enjoyed Marco Polo. We won't get a resolution.
Yeah, Marco Polo is pretty much gone. I mean, for my number 4, is 3 shows. 3 of them are from Netflix, not the whole Netflix crew because I can't lump all of them in there. But my 3 best shows there were Stranger Things, The Get Down, and actually and Marco Polo. I was going to put Luke Cage in there, but Luke Cage second half really pissed me off at the end of the day. So
But that has to be that's a running thing with all of those Netflix shows.
yeah, with all the Netflix Marvel shows. Yeah,
Yeah. The second half kind of stumbled.
It's an honorable mention, but it just kind of stumbled down. Marco Polo was a great continuation, and you know what? If it ends there, at least we got a really great season out of Marco Polo for season 3.
Look, man, Netflix needs to just pony up and say, you know what? We gave Hemlock Grove a third and final season. We'll give you Marco Polo your final season to finish out your story.
I think what it is that they might. It all depends on how numbers. When people hear it, they check it out again, see how that flows. It's always stuff like that. The other show, of course, was The Get Down, which I like hip hop, but I liked the way they recreated the 70s. It felt like the 70s New York. Because all the stories I know from 70s in New York, nobody wanted to live in like the Bronx or any of those places. And it felt like that. So, but also the characters were really strong. They had really strong characters. It was good to see, just like in Stranger Things, which is the other show, like young actors, new people in the game who you can see them move forward. And same thing with Stranger Things. Great show. Those kids are going to go far a long way. So those are my number 4 list of shows, all from Netflix: Stranger Things, The Get Down, and Marco Polo. Moving on to number 3. Lou, quickly before your internet cuts off.
I'm gonna put The Magician on Sci-Fi, the Shannara Chronicles on MTV as my number 3s. They were surprisingly both new, and I enjoyed them. For what they were, yeah, they're kind of cheesy and campy, but I enjoyed the story, and I'm intrigued to see where they go in season 2.
Okay. How about you, Charles?
I would have to say I'm gonna have to choose. I'm gonna have to choose 2 shows for my 3. I don't want to do it, but looks like I'm gonna have to because everybody else is doing it. So it must
there are a lot
cool.
of good shows, though.
Yeah, there is. But I would have to say Shannara Chronicles. I would actually have to have 3 shows for my number 3. I would have to have Shannara Chronicles, Magicians, and then also the current season of Vikings as my number 3. Vikings is amazing, but there are other shows that should be higher on the list. So those 3 shows take my number 3 slot.
I'm sorry, Poppy, but The Walking Dead sucks.
The Walking Dead is not
matter of opinion.
Bullshit.
Yes. It's all opinion.
I don't care about the opinion. The show sucks. I read the comics, and even the comics have gotten pathetically boring.
Well, the thing is, I gave up on Walking Dead right at the end of season 5, so I don't care.
Actually, I think you gave up at the end of season 4.
No. It was right when they killed the guy for slicing the guy's throat. That was the end of season 5 when Morgan showed up in Alexandria.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
It was season 5.
Cool. I moved to number 3. We had number 3 already?
3.
I'm supposed to be saying my number 3. My bad. Sorry. My number 3 show. You know what? Let's see. Yeah.
This is intriguing. The man who doesn't watch much TV.
My number 3 show is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And because I had to move it separately alone because they impressed me. Remember how much I hated that show.
Yes,
I despised it to the core. And Lou was like, come back, watch, like the last 4 episodes of season 2. Was it 2 or 3? I can't remember.
No, season 3 is where it got better.
Yeah.
We're in season 4.
Yeah, so he's like, watch the last 3. Season 2, because I watched season 3.
Well, season 2, the Winter Soldier arc is when it really picked up good.
Yeah, but I started towards the end of season 2, and season 3 was good, but this season has really gotten me. Like, I was like, okay, I give you guys props. You've done a fantastic job of blending in Ghost Rider, which you thought was going to be impossible because, there's the magic element there, and also bringing LMD into it too. So I like that transition, and it's like the show is mature. They went from being terrible to being on a really good spot. So I definitely like it. Lou, number 2.
My number 2 is going to be Expanse and Viking.
Mm-hmm.
Viking is hands down, like I said when we started the show, the Game of Thrones of history. this show is not as much political like Game of Thrones, but it is awesome. I like what, if you haven't seen yesterday's episode, you get a lot of good answers. What happened yesterday, going forward now, that I think Charles will enjoy. It's just been one of those shows that you're like, wow, this is not getting a lot of praise, but this show is really good.
You're talking about The Expanse, right?
No.
Viking.
No, the other
Vikings, yeah.
Now,
Okay.
The Expanse, on the other hand, you know how I just love me that show. I can't wait for that to come back February 1st.
Oh, I can't wait either.
Yeah.
February 1st, guys, it's a 2-hour premiere.
Cool.
Oh, 2 hours? Yeah.
All right, Charles, how about you? What's your number two?
My number 2 is going to be Westworld.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I loved Westworld. Look, it is a rare. Well, it's a rarity, but it happens more often than you think, where I am engaged in every episode in the season. There's only maybe 4 shows that I can come up with, that I can think of right now, that do that for me, and that's Vikings, Expanse, Westworld, and then there was a 4th one. What was the 4th one? Oh shit! I lost it. I lost it. No, but yeah, just those 3. Okay, but I love Westworld. I thought it was fantastic. I thought every episode was engaging. I thought the guessing game, trying to find out where the story was going to go, was just exhilarating. I loved it. It would be higher on the list. It would be my number 1 slot, but there's another show that beat it to it. Okay. So yeah.
All right. My number 2, singular number 2, is Expanse. Oh yeah. I mean, that show got me. What I liked about Expanse was, this is a show that, if you really understand Expanse, each episode, they only gave you a small nugget of information, but it felt like they gave you a lot of information. Only after you watched the episode, you were like, they didn't even answer this. Oh, come on. And then it's like only 10 episodes. Expanse brought sci-fi back to the days of Battlestar Galactica. Mm-hmm. And I've been waiting for that for a long time. I mean, sci-fi has its tradition of very cheesy sci-fi shows, cheesy movies, but I really wanted a show that, at least 1 or 2 shows that were strong, that would give me that space opera feel, and Expanse really hit that nail on the head.
But you've seen Sci-Fi's marketing for Expanse. It's this generation's Battlestar Galactica meets Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I know.
It's a very, like, you were pissed that I got you hooked on it.
Yeah, I was.
I want more!
Because Lou was like, you got to watch Expanse. I was like, I'm saving it. I started watching it. I was like, you see what happened now? Now I got to watch every week. I wanted to just wait for it to finish and then not watch it. So for me, Poppy Grant said, we need rules on this multiple picks, though. Yo, it's hard, though. Like, I'm sorry, man. Sometimes, like, you're thinking in your head, you're like, okay, I got my number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then somebody else messages you, you're like, oh, yes, I love that too. It's so great, but I also love. So I agree.
You gotta understand, Poppy. Westworld, Atlanta get honorable mentions because Atlanta is a really good show. And I never really followed Childish Gambino, but Atlanta was good.
I haven't finished Atlanta yet. I just watched 1 episode. Now, finally, to everyone's number 1. Lou, starting with you. What's your number 1?
It's got to be Game of Thrones, man.
Okay.
The Thrones, bro, that's like a drug that you can't give up.
Mm-hmm.
Keep coming back for more.
Okay. All right. Charles.
My number 1 is The Expanse.
I thought that was your number 2.
No. Westworld was my number 2.
Westworld was number 2.
You didn't even put Game of Thrones on your top 5. Wow.
No. I thought Game of Thrones was great, but I thought The Expanse was better.
But see, the thing with the Game of Thrones is, like, we only got 2 more seasons and we're done. And we're going to be feeding for that drug again.
But the thing is that I am more of a fan of science fiction than I am fantasy. So so The Expanse takes my number 1 slot because it's science fiction. Game of Thrones isn't even on the list because it's fantasy.
It should take your number 1 because you're reading the freaking first book.
I'm reading the first Expanse book. Yeah, it's on my bookshelf. It's collecting dust currently. I'm going to try to read a few chapters tonight.
You know what? I'm going to look for the audiobook because you know what? I don't think I can do this anymore.
Well, no. When it comes to books, I like holding the book in my hand. Screw audiobooks. I like the experience of holding the physical book in my hands.
Lou would tell you, I do not like to read. I read because I have to. It's for my enjoyment. I will take an audiobook any day of the week.
The audiobooks give you that feel like if you're watching a movie.
Thank you very much, Lou.
In your brain.
And that's fine.
why I like it. Because I could just sit back, lay down, and just relax and get to tell the story from a much different light. And it's like, wow, so much better. Fuck reading.
How many books are there in Expanse?
There are
7?
6 books currently.
Okay.
The 6th book was released earlier this month, and there's supposed to be a 7th book currently being worked on, and it's going to be released in holiday of next year.
Okay. All right, cool. So Expanse is your show for number 1. Reason why? Sorry to cut you off there.
The Expanse is my favorite science fiction show on TV currently. There are no other science fiction shows on right now that I love as much as The Expanse. The thing is, when I first started watching The Expanse, I didn't like it. I had like taken like a couple of days to watch the first episode because I was like, yeah, this is kind of boring. So I would pause it, go play video games for a few hours, then go back and watch another 10 minutes. But by the end of the episode, I was like, dude. I mean, I thought it was phenomenal. It is, in my opinion, science fiction perfection. I think it has all the right points. It has all the sweet points. And I'm like, yes, I haven't seen something this good since Battlestar Galactica. And people comparing the show to both Battlestar Galactica and Game of Thrones, that's accurate. It's pretty damn accurate, actually. And
you know what other show deserves to be put up here with?
When is Expanse moving to Netflix?
I don't know.
Season 3.
Yeah, season 2 is going to be broadcasted on Sci-Fi, and so the Netflix broadcasting is probably not going to start until season 3.
Okay.
So yeah.
But I think all of us could agree that we have to put the 100 up here as well.
The 100 hasn't started yet this year.
It has started for this. Well, the 100 comes back next year before season 3.
Yeah,
what we got was great.
Yeah, season 3 was
which was in 2016.
Yeah, it's a good honorable mention. Definitely, Poppy, watch The Expanse. You will like it. My own, I have 2. Sorry, Poppy, I do multiple again. But of course, it is Game of Thrones and Westworld. It fulfills both half of my brain. One sci-fi, one fantasy, in a lovely mesh. Game of Thrones, I mean, I don't need to explain that. I really don't think there's need for explanation. What I liked was how they were able to go past the books and they give us moments that, for instance, Jon Snow coming back to life. We all knew he was coming back. We were waiting for it. But even the timing in the episode where you're like, it's going to be here, it's going to be here, it's going to be here, it's going to be here. And when he came back, I was like, yes! You know, there were a lot of moments in that. I know, cheating, I'm sorry. And Westworld was, I mean, oh my God, that, you know, I watched the original Westworld movie as a kid, so I wasn't sure what to expect. And I absolutely love the way Christopher Nolan and his partner, I can't remember her name,
the woman,
it basically mapped out the show. And I think to a large degree, like you were saying, Charles, the way the whole idea of us trying to figure it out was, I think, part of the plan of the show, was to make the audience involved in guessing and trying to find out what's going on and, you know, what characters are involved, who's a human, who's a host, you know, those kind of things. So definitely Westworld and Game of Thrones were 2 shows that are my top of the list in terms of TV shows this year.
What made Westworld good was the fact that they stopped production to polish the script to finish out the season. So they wanted to make sure they had something good and not just give you some crap, but with a script that they already had. They went back and retold the story to be better. And then, yeah, the Battle of the Bastards was good. And then...
Oh, no, never just that. What's the name? Queen Cersei's rise to the throne. That whole episode, the way she took everyone out. Oh,
Yeah, but what we got in the Battle of the Bastards was the fact that Sansa used his own dogs on him.
Yeah, I mean, no, I'm just saying that there was so much
her rise
this
to
season.
power was good too.
Yeah, there was so much this season that there were cool episodes. Even when Bran, like, you know, the death of Hodor, the fact that he was in a continuous time loop, all because of.
What are you looking forward to in 2017?
All right.
Out of the new shows we got coming out.
I'll start that. In terms of all the shows I've listed, I wanted to see a continuation build up of all the shows. Like, everybody needs to, you know, move to the next level. But Expanse, I really want to see the world open up in Expanse, because, you know, we know Mars and Earth and then the asteroid belt, but I want to see how vast it is. You know, I want to see how massive this world is that they've created in Expanse. You know, a show like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., how terrifying will the LMDs be, like, as they infiltrate across the board? You know, like, where would that take that show to? What's the next level? Because right now they're on a strike. They're hidden things, you know, going forward on there. So for me, those are the kind of things I want to see. I mean, stuff like Flash, I want to see how he grows up, because to a certain degree, right, Flash is on that mode of, I'm not going to time travel into the past anymore. But we all know that the way his character is, he's like, he's very jumpy. So does he get to that point where he knows that I can't mess stuff anymore completely? Like, I'm done. You know, I want to see him grow to that character. I mean, right now he can think about running to the future, because he knows the future will always change. So maybe that's the next thing he'll be doing instead.
Oh, I take it you didn't see the trailer.
I haven't watched the trailer yet. No.
No, I'm looking forward to Legion.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing another season of Preacher.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot about Preacher. Preacher was a little slow. That's probably why.
Yeah, but it picked up towards the end. It was a good build-up. Let me see, what else do we have? We got Legion, Preacher. The second half of the season for all the shows we do watch. Obviously, season 7 of Game of Thrones, when that comes out in June, we have to wait, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. No, it's just going to be some interesting stuff going down the pipe, and whatever new shows Netflix brings to the table. The Defenders, Iron Fist, Punisher.
Yeah, Stranger Things 2.
Season 2. So.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be for me also, the Get Down season 2 is coming. Great show. How about you, Lou? No, sorry, Charles. I said Lou.
I'm really looking forward to the new season of iZombie. That's not going to start until the beginning of next year. I loved last season, but I love the show in general, and I can tell by the look of your face that you're not overly enthusiastic about it.
Oh no! I just need to get back to watching iZombie. I watched iZombie the first season all the way through. I just never started season 2 yet. The essential is like just like the 100.
This is season 3.
As Lou knows, I love the 100, but I was like, I'm not watching it during the season. This is one show that I just cannot watch during the season. Like, I have to binge it. Lou's like, are you watching it?
Binge.
I'd rather binge the 100. I'm sorry though. It's great though, because it's just.
But that's what I did last season with the 100, is I binged it. But aside from iZombie, I'm also looking forward to the new season of the 100. I'm looking forward to that. I think this new season is going to be the best season yet, because I saw the trailers for it and it looks intense. Let's see what else. New season of Game of Thrones I'm looking forward to, because it looks like we're finally going to have the massive battle we've all been waiting for. There is one show that I'm not looking forward to that's coming out next year, and that is the final season of The Strain, because that show now pisses me off. I don't know, just the new season of The Expanse. I'm also looking forward to the new season of The Magicians, because I loved how the last season ended. That's about all I can think of. Okay.
Before we round up, what about movies? What movies are you excited to see next year? I mean, most of them, of course, would be. But anyway, Lou, go ahead, kick it off.
Who'd you ask?
I said Lou. Lou.
Okay.
You.
Obviously, the new Star Wars, the new Transformers.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was gonna mention that.
Yes, I am, because I love me some Transformers. I don't care what anybody says. Damn it. All the comic book movies, obviously, because we gotta love all that stuff.
Yeah.
What else do we have next year? Maybe all I'm going to the theater to see is going to be Transformers, Star Wars, and the comic book movies. I don't go see all the other ones because they just don't deserve my money.
I'm looking forward to the Star Wars. I'm looking forward to the comic book movies, especially Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. That movie looks fantastic. Isn't Justice League supposed to come out next year?
November.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well.
That's going to be interesting because you're going to have Justice League. Well, Thor Ragnarok first, and then Justice League at the end of November.
Yeah. And
So
then,
that's going to be an interesting little battle. And then Star Wars in December, which we already know who's going to win that.
Oh yeah, but there's enough leeway to just you give Star Wars its space. You just go like.
But see, what makes Star Wars interesting now is to see what they did with Carrie Fisher's character. They gave her a larger role. Now what happens since she passes away? How do they write her out?
They'll have to. Well, episode 9 will have. Sorry, but yeah, episode 8 is next year. Episode 9 is when they write her out. So they will not edit her out of this movie. They won't.
Oh, they're not going to do that. You can't. She's probably a big focal point.
As for me, my movies, my number one movie I'm going to see next year is Wonder Woman. I mean, I've been a big Wonder Woman fan since I was a kid with my mom.
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, watch the TV show. I mean, I've always said it's my top 3 superheroes: are Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. That's it.
I can tell you what'll be next year's number $1 billion movie. The first one out the gate.
Fast and Furious.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be definitely. But it would be Wonder Woman, definitely Justice League. I'm Spider-Man: Homecoming. I'm coming around to that. Guardians would be good, but like I can only do so much of the Marvel humor, so I pick one that I like more because it's just the way it is in my mind. War of the Apes is what I would love to see.
I'm definitely going to see that.
Yeah.
That gets my money.
That looks cool.
That trailer was King Kong will get my money.
Yeah. Wonder Woman comes out June 2nd. July 8th is Spider-Man: Homecoming, if I'm not mistaken. Like the first week of July. So there's a month between Wonder Woman and there's a month now between all those movies. So Guardians is
there needs to be.
Guardians is beginning of May. What's it called again? March 3rd is Logan. That's another that it looks like it's going to be good because
they've screened 40 minutes and everybody's raving about it.
Yeah. Power Rangers also. Thank you for bringing that up too.
That's the tricky one.
That's the one that could be good. Look, Power Rangers is 50-50. You could go like this either way. So if it's great, I think it's going to be one of those that it would be like, damn, a Power Rangers movie. Or you'd be like, yeah, I knew it. I think it'd be one of those two.
There is one movie that I am most excited for over all the other movies, and that is Alien Covenant. I'm really looking forward to that.
That trailer was good.
See, I did
the face huggers, dude. The freaking face huggers.
I liked the trailer, not as much. Like I saw a lot of the original movie. I was kind of like, this is like beat for beat, almost like the original movie. But
it has to be better than Prometheus.
And to me, Prometheus is not that bad. Come on,
Prometheus looked good. I really enjoyed Prometheus.
I enjoyed Prometheus.
I didn't hate Prometheus either. I didn't hate Prometheus either, but I thought it was a little weird. There was aspects of it that didn't really feel like they fit with the earlier movies.
How? To me, let's talk about this because to me, I don't understand how people didn't see that. They were looking for the engineers. They were not looking for aliens because aliens.
No, I know that. I was actually looking forward to seeing the engineers. I thought I thought their introduction was cool. I was a little disappointed that the engineer didn't speak when he showed up, but he did in the deleted scene. So, but I don't know. Just there was just some things about that movie that just felt weird to me, especially the xenomorph at the end that burst out of the engineer's body. That kind of bothered me.
Why? It's a xenomorph. They all do that.
Just Well, it's not. What is it? The proto-xenomorph or something? It wasn't the xenomorph that we are familiar with.
Yeah, but also
something else.
This is xenomorph that's feeding off an engineer's body, which is different from ours. Remember, we are supposedly derivative of the engineers because they made humans by laying seeds. So technically, it would not be the same xenomorph that you get. That's why I don't understand what people get.
All right, I guess.
See, I solved that problem. Bam!
All right.
Bam! Charles is like,
mind blown.
Thunder E detective to the rescue.
Better than Batman.
I beg to differ.
Isn't Batman? Isn't the Batman coming out in 2017?
2018.
No, 2018.
2018. But yeah, no, next year King Kong.
Dang
also,
it.
King Arthur looks good, but we've only seen one trailer, so I'd like to see a little bit more about where that story juncture is. It looks like it's.
See, the problem I have with King Arthur is Charlie Hunnam.
I don't think the problem I have with King Arthur is actually Jude Law. If he can actually stay evil, because Jude Law, anytime he tries to play a pseudo bad guy, he becomes Jude Law again. So I'm like,
because every time I see Charlie Hunnam, I'm thinking of Jax.
Oh, that's you. I never watched the show.
So I visualize Jax.
Aren't we getting oh my God, Pacific Rim 2 next year, or is it 2018?
I think it's 2018.
Pacific Rim 2 is coming out, but Charlie Hunnam isn't returning in the movie. It's John Boyega.
Yeah, but when is that coming out? Is that 2018?
It might be end of next year,
I
or it
believe
could
so,
be
yeah.
2018.
Okay. All right, cool. Well, anyway, guys, that is pretty much it. Seems like we had a fun show. Yes, I hope Logan doesn't suck, but I think it will be good.
See, that's the good thing. Next year, we're not getting bombarded with a bunch of superhero movies early on. We got Logan in March, and then the next one doesn't come out until May. So it gives us a window to just...
It's a 1 month release. Logan, May, Guardians, June, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man in July, Guardians.
Which one is
in August? August. Yeah.
I don't think Guardians is... No, Guardians is in May.
Oh, Guardians is in May, sorry. Then there's none in August. And then we go to November, beginning and the end of November.
So there's nothing in August for comic books.
Yeah. And then the Batman comes out in October.
Of the following year.
Of 2018. That's going to be interesting. October release of Batman. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much, guys, for joining us on our top 5 or top conglomerate of 5, because we had a combined list here and there. Appreciate everyone for joining in the chat. Joshua, Rick Badboy, Pappy, Richie, everyone who chimed in. It was fun discussing with you guys. Also, thank you very much, Lou, as well as also Charles. This is our last episode for 2016. We're going to kick back up the second. When did the show start again? Second or third week
I
of the year?
believe Agents second week of January.
All right, so
right after CES is when Agents of the Shield comes back.
Okay, so second week we'll do Agents of Shield episode. We will do a video to just make announcements on how we're changing some of our show formats, so you guys see that. That should come out of either first or second week of the year. But it's been fun. We've had a fun time with you guys. Thank you all for chiming in. Tell your friends so we can grow the channel and you can do more stuff here with you guys. And we should have a great 2017. You know, I'm kind of glad this year is over because, you know, it's an interesting year to say the least.
That it was.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and always enjoy your entertainment.